Hey guys, just wanted to do a live review of something D.E. Taylor posted regarding Warframe. They're doing a weapon balance pass, and some of these really excite me. Unfortunately, I did take it a little look over. None of the buffs that they suggested. Sadly, none of them are related to my Can I Has Buff series, so I don't think they've ever seen it. Unfortunately, but most of them, most of the buffs that they've suggested do sound pretty good, and I'm going to go over them quickly. I'll leave a link to this so you can read the beginning part yourself. For the miter, increased chance of dismemberment on kills, you know, meh, whatever. Increased speed of the projectiles, that's great. Charge time has been halved, so the fire rate's even faster. Now it has a 5% critical chance on the quick shot and a 10% for the charge shot, so now it can do critical hits. Mastery rank was increased to 6, but whatever. Now this excited me a lot. Recoil has been reduced on the hard pack, so when you fire it with higher fire rate, it's not going to kick back as much. The alt fire charge time has been removed, so when you press alt fire, it automatically just fires the harpoon now. But the critical chance has been increased to 20%. Remember, guys, I have a Riven mod that increases critical chance, so I'm going to do an updated video on that. It's going to be even more powerful. I think it was only 15% before, so it's only an extra 5%, but it will be better, so I'm going to do a video on that. Increase the range of the alt fire from 15 meters to 40, so you can pull enemies from really far away now. And increase the speed of the alt fire and update the FX. The Hind was kind of interesting. They're basically giving it 2 fire modes now. We've added a single shot semi-auto alt fire to the Hind that has an increased damage, critical, and status chance. The thing about the Hind is while the damage and stats are low on the burst fire, it fires 5 rounds really quickly, so I'm not really sure if this is going to be worth it, but I will be testing that out, obviously. The Panthera, the primary fire has been switched to automatic, so and the fire rate has been increased. So basically, you hold down the trigger and it fires blades faster in automatic mode. And the status chance of that fire mode has been increased to 20. I think my Riven mod is multi-shot, if I remember correctly. So the status should actually be either 80% or 90% now with this mode. And the critical hit chance, obviously they've added crit now, is 10%, and the multiplier is 2. So it actually has a crit potential now. And the ammo requirement of this primary, it used to be 10 ammo per, I think it was 10, to fire the primary. Now it's only 2. And now the secondary fire status chance is 35%. I'm pretty sure they mean to say per second because it is 35% per second, but that's still a great improvement. And the critical hit chance of the secondary, so that blade has a 25% chance to crit. I'm assuming it's going to be ×2 multiplier, like the primary, and the mastery rank requirement is now 7. Interesting, they decided to do the parassist. I mean, obviously people hated the weapon, but I actually, even without a Riven, it strips armor really quickly. But they increased the damage by 5, which is pretty decent. And then they just did the update of the FX. And then increase the range of the alt fire tether to 50, so it's now it's going to be 10 meters more than the Harpack, but I don't think it's going to be hit scan. You're still going to have to charge it because they don't say otherwise here. And then the status chance of the primary and secondary fire has been increased to 30%. So my already overpowered Parassist mod that I reviewed is going to be even more powerful. Again, most of these weapons I'm going to do a review on separately probably. And now the critical chance, the primary fire has been increased to 10%. It was 5, I think, and the mastery rank is now 5. The Meatless Quana, surprisingly, they didn't give it a normal buff. You'd think they would, actually, but instead, it seems like they're going to make it similar to the Simulor, where the alt fire bubbles are going to stack, and then I guess through each stack, it's going to do more damage. I bet some people still don't even know that the alt fire does this, that it adds crit chance and crit damage. I'm hoping that still applies to this, and it's just going to be even better, because my Riven mod adds crit damage and I think crit chance? No, it's just crit damage. So basically, if I stack a bunch of bubbles, it'll be doing even more damage for that weapon itself. Buzzlock is another great one. The ammo requirement for the secondary homing has been reduced to 2. I mean, that's fine. I don't really use the secondary fire anyway, that homing ability. And when they say the physical damage distribution has been adjusted to 50% impact, 40% puncture, and 8% slash, we'll take a look at the Buzzlock. You can see that currently it has about 34 impact, about 5 puncture, so it's mostly impact. So basically, it's going to have a little bit more puncture and a little bit more slash. So this is going to be better against Grineer. Even better, the damage has been increased to 60 from 45 to 60. Remember, I think the Supra also does 45 damage. So it's basically the Grineer version of the Supra. This thing is going to fucking do 60 damage a shot now. And look at this. The critical chances have been increased to 15%. The critical damage has been increased to 2.5. Remember, my Buzzlock mod gives critical chance and damage, I think. So, oh my god, this is going to be powerful. I can't wait. The flight speed of the homing beacon has been increased. That's good. The homing beacon will now only stick to NPCs and characters. This is also great. So if you can actually essentially use heavy caliber now with the Buzzlock if you wanted to, without worrying about it hitting the wall and then it's targeted the wall now. The critical chance is increased by 50% on targets with the homing beacon attached to them. So if I get this right, if my mental math is right, I should have almost 100% crit chance on a target with my Riven mod. Excuse me. Almost 100% crit chance with my Riven mod if I target enemies with the homing beacon. That's insane. This is a little sad though. They've reduced the clip size to 50. It was let me just check. It was 75. So they reduced it by a decent amount. That's okay, and the mastering rank is increased. Actually, this is probably going to be a long video. I'll try to cut this up a bit. The Galaxian. The cold damage has been increased to 333 from 250. Obviously, if you look at the wiki or even in the game, it says like 12.5 because it was 12.5 damage a second, but it was only for the one tick. So if you held it on the enemy, it did 250. So 333, that's pretty good. And the rate at which ammo is consumed has been decreased. That's also good. And increase the accuracy of the Galaxian. This was one of my biggest complaints with the changes that they did, so that's great. And the range has been reduced, unfortunately, to 24. So it's going to be a little shorter, but it's going to do more damage and it's more accurate, so that's good. And with the Ogress, I kind of expected a change like this, but this is actually pretty good. The flight speed of the projectile is increased, so now it flies a little bit faster. The status chance, this is actually really good because I think it was only 10% status chance. So with my Riven, that gives multi-shot. I remember I mentioned I was going to start rolling it to try to get damage. I think status might be worth it now because I might be able to get 100% with dual stats in my Riven. The charge time to fire the Ogress has been reduced. That's excellent. The direct impact damage of the projectile has been decreased to 100. It used to be 150. So slight damage reduction on the direct impact of the rocket, but the AoE damage has been increased by 600, or to 600, sorry, which is a whole 100 damage increase. They say the AoE range has been increased to 6 meters. It was 6 meters. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure if they mean like, I don't know, because the wiki says that it's 6 meters, and I've tested it. It was already 6 meters, unless it was 5. Like 5.2 or something, and people just thought it was 6. And the mastery rank requirement has increased a bit. The Attica I'm not too worried about, but here's the general stats. The weapon recoil has been reduced. The fire rate has been increased. The flight speed has been increased. The crit chance has been increased to 25%. Crit multiplier has been increased to 2. And the ammo capacity has increased to 20. Basically, what the gist of the Simulor is the status chance were increased, so it's more of a status dealing weapon. When the orbs stacked and pushed back enemies and damaged them, the damage and range has been reduced now, so it's not as good for crowd control, unfortunately. And their ammo capacity has been halved, but at the same time they got a slight buff, so the with their explosion. So if you detonate the orbs, they deal more damage, and they deal damage at a larger radius. So it's a nerf and buff at the same time, but mostly a nerf since people usually use this Simulor for crowd control. Now it no longer will do that. Obviously, these changes haven't been implemented yet, but they probably will soon in the update. And for the Telos Boltes, the slide attack will now create a vortex that staggers and draws enemies toward you. The following slide attack after a vortex will radial blast and ragdoll enemies away from you. And this back and forth will be a cooldown. So basically you slide, it creates a vortex that pulls in enemies, and then on your next slide it pushes them away. I'm not really sure what the point of that is, but whatever. And interestingly, it says here, if you have invested any forma into a nerfed weapon, when the update releases, there will be a single inbox message generated on login to give you a 3-day affinity booster and forma bundle to reconfigure your weapons as you see fit. And another thing, it says, regarding to any Rivens you may have or are looking to pick up for any of these listed weapons, you can expect small changes to the stats. So I'm going to have to do an update after the update actually hits where these changes are implemented, because the weapons, the base weapons are boosted, but the Riven mods might be slightly tweaked, so it might end up being exactly the same. But again, this is slightly strange. I mean, I think DE knows how much of a backlash they're going to get from these nerfs that they did. So this affinity booster and forma is like, okay, here you go. You can, it's not all bad. You can now forma the weapon and make it is what you want. So again, like they say, this is basically just a first draft of what they're going to do. If there's any updates, I'll update you guys on that. So yeah, thanks for watching.